Hey, welcome to your day off. My name is Corey, and I'm sitting today with my friend Gabby from the Beauty Launchpad. What is it? Managing editor? What's your title?
Yes, I am managing editor of Beauty Launchpad.
That's awesome. What does managing mean? How is that
I,
different than just regular editor?
yeah, I guess so. I started out as assistant editor and then became associate managing editor, and now I'm just a managing editor. I feel like the work I was doing as associate managing editor is not much different than the work I was doing as managing editor, for sort of leading and running the magazine. But essentially, I control Beauty Launchpad. It's my baby. I control what goes in the magazine. I have a lot of influence over what we post to our social media page, our website. It's Beauty Launchpad's mine.
Seems
I
like with
have
every
ultimate
promotion,
authority
your
over it.
title gets shorter.
Yeah.
We should probably just editor. That's it, man. Just like
The
that's the
editor,
ultimate
queen
promotion.
editor.
I like that. Queen editor. Did you
Yes.
QE, the QE that does the QA? I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Such a dork. Hey Gab, very, very shortly here, Pressy Poe and Friends is coming up. Are you excited?
Yes, I'm so excited. This is going to be my first year attending. And I believe when I met you for the first time in 2023, you either were just about to or had just finished your 2023 event. I think you had just finished the 2023 event, because ABS is super early this year. Um,
It's actually funny. Like when we go to schedule, I was just talking to Pressy last night, and she's like, "What's our date for 2026?" I'm like, "It just really depends on what ABS's date. We kind of like try to do it like different obviously a different weekend than ABS. We want to do it on A, and then B, for whatever Easter always falls in there too. So those are the two weekends we're
yeah.
like, what's going on that weekend, and then we'll try to find a weekend after that. And then we also work within a school, so then it becomes a challenge of just making it the quote unquote right weekend for the school as well. But yeah, man, it's gonna be a great show this year. I'm way excited. Emily Chen's coming, and if you follow Emily, she to me, no, back up. Jacob Kahn is the male Emily Chen. Like I just find her so funny and so engaging with all her content, and she's just a great educator. We also have Joel Torres, who for my money does the best content on the Instagram when it comes to hairdressers. His content to me looks so much like a almost like a movie. Like he shoots it like a movie. Like he's just so cool, and it's so engaging. And he doesn't most of the time he doesn't even speak. But it's just engaging. We got Jeremy Stevens, and Jeremy is doing some updos and stuff. All of the attendees this year are Babelist artists, and they're going to be showing off their Babelist stuff there as well. And then we also have this is the first time we've ever had someone return, but Los Cutzit is going to return, and he's just doing some amazing stuff, as a barber, and he's gonna share some tech that he uses to get those intricate shapes in the head there. We also have Olaplex who's showing up, and then they have a couple artists, and they have announced that Coco Taft's going to be here. You met Coco last year, right?
Yeah, yeah, I've met Coco before. I've met her, I think, a few times, but yeah, she was at Mariah's event. And I think that may have been the first time I got to meet her in person, or I may have met her in person before because I've done some stuff with Olaplex before. I know they just had like a huge brand announcement and they're announcing that they're rebranding and everything. So um psyched about that, to get to see, yeah, Olaplex working with you, because I went to a fun event in Chicago recently, where they brought their pro collective and their global ambassadors together for like a really fun 2 day event of like education and mentoring, and it was a really cool experience. So I'm excited that they're hopping on board and having some people get involved because they're doing some really great things in the hair care space.
Listen, dude, I just started using their curl bonder. I think that's what it's called. It's a curl bonder, but it's like a three-step treatment. That stuff is
Yes.
next level. I did it on one of my clients, and like she literally called me every day, like this is incredible. And she's like a once a week kind of like a shampooer. You know what I mean? So and she was like, oh my god, my hair feels so amazing, even like a week later. And for curly hair, that just almost never happens.
Yeah, if you want to know more about that, like our so much of last year, we worked with Olaplex a lot for that launch because that was massive for them. So they did a whole piece in our magazine talking about the technology behind it and sort of the science behind bond building and everything. And then their Pro Collective was on our November December issue, and they talked a little bit about the new launch there and then sort of some of the things that they're doing. So they're a friend of Beauty Launchpad, and it's exciting to see them
That's
partnering
awesome.
up with you.
Well,
Yeah.
it's legitimately a very, very cool product. And speaking of cool products, speaking of cool people, who's coming on today?
Yeah. So speaking of events too,
Oh yeah. No,
yeah,
for sure.
I think so Beauty Launchpad, to preface this, our March April issue is out now, and it's our eco chic issue. So we talk about sustainability for one part of the issue, and then we talk a lot about bridal styling and special occasion styles. And so as I was sort of prepping the issue towards the end of 2024 and thinking about like who do I want my artist spotlight to be, who do I want to feature, I had the opportunity to meet through Mariah Villarreal, who has another event, so many wonderful events in the industry to bring community and people together. She moderated the bridal panel that was a part of that event, and has this amazing platform called Beyond the Ponytail. And it really is just a space for bridal stylists to be able to come together. And I just like loved the idea of that community and also how multi-layered it is, which is something this guest will talk about. So I'm just going to bring her in. And stop the chatter any further. But like I said before, she is our March April artist spotlights. You can learn more about her in our magazine, which is out now. Thank you so much for joining us today, Angela Cattaneo.
And nice to meet you. Thank you so much for having me. I know we met recently last year and just had such a great conversation. And I always look forward to just talking with you and seeing what you're doing and how we can talk about the bridal industry and what we're doing for it, because there's so much exciting energy that's happening right now. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being our March April artist spotlight and sharing your time with us and then hopping on the podcast as well. And
Gabby,
I
I
know
want,
you
I want
did
to
an event.
congratulate you because you had two really hard last names there between Mariah's last name, who I never say, and then with Angela's last name.
Yeah, I
Congratulations.
feel like I butchered it a little bit. I was like,
No,
Marcus, look
that's
at me, that's
okay.
Cattaneo. Yes.
It's Cattaneo. I know. Everyone, I mean, come on. I've had that for my entire year. So, I mean, my whole entire life, but totally fine. No, yeah, it's Cattaneo. It's hard.
Yes.
It's a hard one.
Yeah.
It's hard. Like I think when you read it, but when you say it, it sounds pretty easy, right?
It's so easy.
Yeah.
Cattaneo.
It takes
Cattaneo.
a little time.
And then you got it. Then it's nailed.
Then
Yeah.
it's nailed.
That's great. Angela, where are you from?
I'm from San Francisco, California. I've been in California my whole entire life. I'm a total California girl. And yeah, no, it's great. It's beautiful weather. It's been chilly. It's been chilly lately, but we're spoiled over here.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. San Francisco, though, they have proper like seasons, though, right?
Well, yes, but not like, winter is winter here, but not like winter snow. You might have to drive 4 hours to the mountains, and then you can get the snow. The good thing about California is, in San Francisco, so to speak, is we're located to so many different climates. So you can get to the mountains and go skiing. You can go to
Right.
the lakes. You can go up north and enjoy the wine country. So and we have beautiful beaches. So everything within the seasons are nearby, but we don't have like the hard seasons that you see in the Northeast.
Like Gabby gets up there in Chicago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so cold. I know.
Yeah. And it's the back and forth of it too. Like one day it's like 60 degrees and then the next day it like drops to below freezing and you're like, what is going on? It's not fun at all.
Welcome to March.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we just
No.
went through that, and I'm right outside of DC, so we just went through that.
Oh.
Like all that craziness.
I mean, I admire you. My daughter's graduating from high school this year and she wants to go to college in New York. And I'm like, I mean, I love New York. I love Chicago. Don't get me wrong. Absolutely my favorite cities. But I was like, okay, California girl, get ready.
Yeah. You'd have to buy like a winter coat for the first time in your lifetime.
No, it's just amazing.
It is crazy. We have family in Florida, so whenever they come up, actually some of them have just left parkas here, or
Right?
left jacket. They're like,
Oh,
"No,
for
it's gonna be
sure.
cold is at your house," so we'll just leave it there. So
Absolutely.
we're storing a bunch of those things. That's crazy. Angela, how long have you been in the industry?
Gosh, I've been doing hair. Actually, the hair industry was my third career. I was in the catering business. I was a catering coordinator for a hotel. And then I went into HR and I just kind of had this moment where I was like, this isn't really what I'm supposed to be doing, and decided to switch careers and go into hairstyling. So I've been doing that for a little over 23 years. Working behind the chair for that amount of time. I actually still take clients behind the chair, but I got into bridal styling pretty quickly just because out of the whole experience, I do love styling. That is where I get my joy. That is where I kind of lose myself. But early on in the career, I started to, worked with Redken and I taught hair on their design team. I taught with them, amazing educators. That was such a great experience. But that again was like the creative side of it, the hair cutting and then the styling. So, yeah, it's been great. I've kind of touched my fingerprints on a lot of different things throughout the 23 years, and really have just landed where, I'm supposed to be. And it's amazing. Yeah, it's so fun.
That's so. Did you work with Sam in them?
I did. I did. I worked with Sam, Chris Barron, Teresa Mockler, Ellen Lawler, so many amazingly talented educators. And so the experience was just transformative, just to kind of be taken in and taught how they facilitate and how they touched students that came into their class and exceptional style, cutting skills. It was really, really awesome. And I will take what I learned with them and I've taken it, throughout my career. And as I moved into independent education, I always kind of fell back to that experience that I had with them.
That,
Yeah,
that
it was great.
that's so cool. How did like I am in no level trying to be offensive, so don't take it that way at all.
Okay.
But like how like what like working with Chris Barron and he does like such great like big like avant-garde type looks like how do you do that type of work and you've just kind of like brought it down to like to bridal? I don't know really what I'm saying, but like it's two different
That's
skill
okay.
sets, right? It's two different skill sets.
Two different skill sets. I mean, the that avant-garde, when I worked with Chris Barron and assisted him in his classes, it was definitely hair cutting. We were going in as hair cutting. It was strictly hair cutting and styling. But the avant-garde side of it, I think that's just where, I speak to our community now that does bridal. And they do have this passion in this side of creativity that when you are in that space of creating an upstyle or a look, I think when you get into the avant-garde, it's a space of just freedom and creativity and visions come to life. And so that feeling of like inspired and like being in that space of styling, which makes everyone, work with so much joy and freedom. The avant-garde is just that like let go and bring that vision to life. And so there are quite a few bridal stylists that I speak with that move into the avant-garde and the Naha presentations. And it's they always talk about it's just like they have this vision and they go with it. There's no limits, there's no boundaries. It's about bringing what you see to life and working with incredibly, talented people, photographers, makeup artists, and other people that are involved on the campaign. So it's a space of freedom for them. Because when you're working with a bridal, it's a little bit more restrictive. You have the time strains, you have the demands of the bridal party, and all the pressure that happens when, as a bridal stylist, you still have that creativity, but in the avant-garde side of it, it's about freedom and letting go.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's amazing. It's great. I've been so proud of some of the stylists lately that have just gone for it and created with a team and put their work out there for this last NAHA entry that we're doing for 2025. Yeah, it's been great to watch.
Yeah. I was gonna say a former Naha winner that I know you're friends with is Katie. You guys did an event
Amazing.
together. Yeah, in Chicago. You did an event in Charleston recently, and I know you've collaborated a lot. And she's wonderful.
Katie Brazier is she's my heart right now. She embodies what it's like to have the opportunity to believe in yourself, to have the talent, to put yourself out there, reach out and make connections and have a vision and bring it to life. And I recognize that is why I'm here within our community to really recognize those artists that are, wanting that opportunity, and then providing them the support, the resources, and then the opportunity to make their vision, their dreams, happen. And then I get to sit back and watch. And I'm in a space right now where I'm so much gratitude to be able to be a part of their journey. Really, it's pretty simple. because they do all the work, but I get to allow them, maybe to have a bigger platform to do it on, especially with Katie. She reached out to me. She said, I want to teach at the styling awards. And I said, absolutely. It was 2023. I said, this year, we're full, but, let's stay in touch. And so she did her work and she, did her different, campaigns and winning NAHA. And we kept that conversation going. And so I invited her to be on stage for 2024 in Orlando. Of course, she killed it. But just the mentoring and the conversations I'm able to have to her during that process is just, I feel grateful that I'm able to support her in that way. And then, now we're doing the artist connections that we'll get into and, other events around the country. And she's there and she's a part of it. And so she really symbolizes that journey as a stylist who is making things happen for themselves.
That's awesome. Gab?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I went to the Chicago event, which was the inaugural kickoff event for that bridal event, and it really did shape kind of a lot of what I ended up doing with Beauty Launchpad for our January, February issue, or sort of this year going forward, just because you had that whole Q&A part where it was just sort of an open forum, and that was really awesome to get to hear what people in the industry are thinking and feeling and sort of what are their concerns and what are the questions that they're asking, because that kind of led to me to be okay, what is it that they need then, and then taking that for editorial. So thank you for inviting me for one, because that was super helpful to me. But let's go back a couple steps before we dive into that, and sort of, do you want to talk about for those who haven't heard of Beyond the Ponytail, sort of what the platform is, because it is very layered too, to sort of talk about the different aspects of it.
It is very layered, and it's funny how it started. 2015, Instagram was starting to take off. And I was also searching for what I was going to do next. I was wanting to get back into education as an independent educator, because I had taken some time away from what I did with Redken to have my family. And now I was like, ooh, there's something else out there. So I created my Instagram. I posted my braids and updos, and they got recognized by industry platforms, in the industry. And it was an emotional experience to know that, you pour your heart into this look, and then it gets recognized, and then it gets reposted and featured on large platforms. And that was kind of like an experience where I was like, wow, that's a really cool thing. I like that. I like how I feel after that. And I'm determined to continue to push my boundaries and just keep on continuing to do this. And so with that, I was like, I like that. That's an emotional feeling. My confidence has grown from this. And I wanted to create a space where I was featuring looks of artists around the world that I loved, because there wasn't really a page that was concentrating on braids and updos. We had Masters of Balayage was coming, and Behind the Chair, and all these other American Salon, Modern Salon, Beauty Launchpad, all these industry platforms that were really showcasing these artists. But there wasn't one specifically for what my passion was, which was braids and updos and styling. And so I thought, what, I'm going to create a space where I could collect all this great inspiration, but I can also uplift an artist around the world and give them that feeling that I received when my work was recognized, because that's badass. It's just great. If I can feel like I believe in myself and I can do it, how great would it be to give that gift to someone else around the world every single day, multiple times? Because I was posting 5 times a day to grow this page, but I was really searching for incredible artists that maybe didn't have their work featured yet, or, just it didn't matter how many followers you had. It didn't matter where you were from or anything at all. It was all about the image that you shared with the world. And I wanted to give recognition to it. And it was successful, and it was amazing. It was a lot of hard work. But the messages that I received from the artists that I were featuring were so genuine, so spot on to what I wanted to create for that space. And so it kept me inspired to continue to do this. And yeah, it was a good feeling, it was a feel good moment for me that I continued to share. And from there, I knew I always wanted to start a hair show as well. So it kind of in the back of my mind, I thought I'm going to create this space call it Beyond the Ponytail because I was actually thinking of names of classes that I would teach around the country. And I was like brainstorming. I was like, well, we could do like a class called, maybe for advanced, stylists, and we could call it like Beyond the Ponytail. And as soon as I said it, I felt like I was hit by a lightning rod. And I literally went on every single platform and grabbed the name and started switched it on Instagram and got the .com. I knew that was it. That was kind of that moment where I said, okay, I now have this and now let's rock and roll. And so yeah, there's just been some very pivotal moments where the emotion and that sense of I'm going to do this no matter what the challenge is, has really been set with me. So I felt like I've found like my purpose and my passion. And I try to convey that when I talk to a lot of other stylists that are kind of searching. I talk about like feelings and emotions and how you feel and that ability to make a hard decision and not know what the outcome's going to be, but you're on the right track. And so that's kind of how I felt when we started Beyond the Ponytail. And we just grew. And I was able to create a community, specifically in the bridal community, and that kind of launched us into creating our wedding hairstylist directory, the BTP Bridal, and really because of that, because it was out of a need, because I continued to get messages in my DM from brides from around the world asking me if I was available to do their wedding. And I was like, well, what country are you in? Like, where are you from? Or if I knew somebody in Texas that could do their hair like May 12th, and I was like, well, I do know people in Texas, but I don't really have their information. So I knew that there was a need for some place to like connect the consumer with our community. And that's how BTP Bridal was born. And it's a great resource and it's awesome. So now it's a global directory, we have 175, almost 200 listings in there of stylists from around the world. And when we get a request, we send them right to the directory and promote the stylists that are in there. So
Angela, how do you become a part of the directory?
So it's easy. We have, on our website, beyondtheponytail.com, there's a link there where you can join. I wanted to make it super affordable. It is specifically a wedding hairstylist directory. So it's not a wedding directory with all vendors. It's specifically for the hairstylist. We are going to be expanding and adding some more things like makeup artists and, if you're an educator. So those are, projects in the works. And it's just based out of need of what we get asked for. And it said, okay, now we need to provide this resource. But there's links on our Instagram pages, BTP Bridal, Beyond the Ponytail, Angela at Beyond the Ponytail. All those pages, we have links to join. And then also, of course, on our website, beyondtheponytail.com. Yeah. And so if you want to even view it too, click those links, go to the website that holds our directory and check it out. It is beautifully done. I love it. And it's a piece of work that continues to grow. And it allows you also to get into a private Facebook group where I'm in there if you need, a quick call. I'm really known to like, if there's a stylist that is like kind of stuck or needs to have a conversation or is working out something, yes, you can go into that Facebook group and we do Zooms every month, but I'm just like, hey, here's my phone number, jump on a call.
Like, hit
Like,
me
let's
up. I got you.
yeah, I got you. And, I've kind of heard a lot over the last 10 years. I can probably help you, or if you just need a sounding wall. So I am also known to jump on phone calls with anybody from around the world that's in our community just to kind of give them, maybe they need a pep talk or they're making a hard decision and they just need that extra person, that can just give them that insight that they might need. So
Do you help them with like I know like certainly in the bridal community or the bridal hairstyling community, I know that contracts is always a big conversation. Do,
yeah.
do you have resources for contracts or what should be in a contract, what should be in a contract,
Yeah,
that stuff?
absolutely. Yes. I mean, the good news is we have so many stylists in our community that have contracts, that have purchase contracts from, legal brands that are selling contracts. There's so many. It's such a great question because there is that business side of it that some people find a little intimidating, or if you're a new hairstylist that's coming into starting your bridal business, even if you work alone or on a team, those are the questions that they have. Like, what should I have in my contract? How do I do this? And in our communities, in the Facebook groups, or even, on our lives, they can ask that question, and then everybody jumps in and says, here's a copy of my contract. This is what I have in it. This is how I change it. So contracts have been definitely a topic that will continue to be talked about, because just oh, I had this experience and now I added it to my contract. And it's like the contract's the evolving contract as the years go by. And it's a topic that we talk about a lot. But yes, there are resources where we direct if you want to purchase a template and make it your own. This is who we recommend. If you have questions, please feel free to list them in here, and we'll get the answers. Yeah.
That's pretty awesome, and what a great resource, because
Yeah.
I know that. I'm trying to think, like, is that the only contract we really have? Like, if we don't have a brand, like between hairdresser and consumer, is it the only contract that we have in the industry? Like,
I mean, in the bridal industry, yes, you really have to protect yourself because this is a product that and a service that is, usually a high ticket item. The bride's spending a lot of money and they're very demanding. So the contract allows you for boundaries that you can say, this is how much it costs. This is the travel fee. This is what, you really have to protect yourself, because what happens is that bride starts to like, ooh, go into like this other space, and they're the queen or the bridesmaids, and they do have a lot of demands. And so with the contracts, it really protects yourself, as far as like deposit, final payment, all those things that you experience from the beginning and end when you're dealing with a bride for their incredibly special day. It's a necessity to protect yourself, because there are a lot of times that the bride will try to take advantage of the situation.
yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, I can't. And like you said, I mean, even for a hairstylist, like you're taking a full day off of work, or you're working on a day off or whatever. So you certainly want to be protected, from behind the chair. You certainly want to be protected in that sense as well. And yes, it totally makes sense. Why you need it.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
imagine. I mean, people are, when they're stressed, it's either the best self or their least self, and like, this is a monumental day. It's, it's one of two days in a lifetime.
And
Um,
then what happens if they don't get married, and I gave you, a $1,500 deposit, and we canceled 2 days before I mean, it's like, you name it, these bridal stylists have heard it, seen it, and this is why they have contracts, because anything can happen, and you want to protect your business and your time, because they've booked a day that normally you can, the wonderful thing about this resource in the community that we have is now people realize you can make a great living as a bridal hairstylist full time, not like on the side from behind the chair or anything at all. Like, there are a huge abundance of stylists around the world that make an incredible living being a full-time hairstylist. And it could be them doing them, there's brides by themselves with assistants, or they have a team of like 20, and they are now running a bridal team and servicing and doing 100, 200, 300, 400 weddings a year, and they're making an incredible living. And so again, these are all the resources that you have. These are the people that we have in our community. So if this is an idea or a vision or a goal that you have, all you got to do is ask. There
mm.
is an abundance of stylists in this community that have no problem sitting down and sharing everything they know, because it's all about uplifting the others. And there's enough weddings in this world for all of us. And so there is this, community over competition theme throughout our community, which is incredible.
That's
So it's very welcoming, and it's super exciting for the new bridal stylists that come in that are so intimidated by this industry, this particular career within our industry. Um, because they don't feel like they're educated enough, or where to start, or how do I make money? And what I've seen over the last, few years is all that information is available to you. So if you have a concern, but you're afraid to step into it, but your true passion is styling and updos and what have you, I welcome them to come in here and have a conversation and let me hear what you have to say, what you want to do, and I can direct you in the right direction of resources that you can have. So it's exciting because now I think we have a community that is filled of resources and is ready to, welcome that new wave of bridal stylists in here, because they are welcome, and we are ready to just provide them with all the things that they need as far as education, contracts, business ideas, you name it. We've got people that are here to support you. So I think that's what I'm probably most proud of, at this moment is that opportunity to excite the new stylists that are coming in that are a little intimidated.
That's extraordinary. Gab.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say it's level. I mean, you're talking about names, people in the industry. I know someone else will be chatting with, very lovely Dana Fountain. She's
Love.
great.
Yes.
Yes.
Amazing. I mean, it's funny because I met her through Mariah in Chicago, and we had not met before, but I after the introduction, her and I jumped on a call, and Leela became best friends.
Yeah.
Like, you're now my new best friend. And so I spent some time with her in Chicago. And, she runs all the bridal beauty businesses in Chicago. She's the opposite side of me. She's the one that has the structure. She has the book. She has the worksheet. Give me the numbers. Give me the numbers. Let me make this happen. And I'm the one that's like, woo!
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
great
I
idea.
see I see what you have in your hand, Corey. Well, I mean, maybe we save that for
Yeah, we'll save that. We'll save that. I was
Dana's
gonna,
episode, but I saw it. I saw it. My eyes,
yeah.
I caught it. Anyway, yeah, because Dana has a piece also in our March April issue where she talks about that side of things.
Yes,
But
I adore
yeah,
her. She's fantastic.
she's
She's actually, I'm doing the Bridal Artist Connection events with her.
yeah, that's what I was just about to dive into is
Yes.
that so you have what we touched a little bit on the BTP styling awards, Beyond the Ponytail styling awards, and having that component. So you're taking a year off for 2025 and doing some touring. Do you want to sort of talk about what influenced that decision to sort of start doing that instead?
Absolutely. So we did 2023, 2024. We went to Atlanta in October, and we went to Orlando in October as well. And so we were starting to do these shows, and based on what other shows were happening in the industry, we wanted to make sure that there was no overlap. And so, you got your behind the chair in August and Masters of Balayage in September. And it's like, okay, cool. We'll transition into October and do our show. Well, which is great. And we've had great success, but it's like, wait a second, what are we doing? We're doing these hair shows during a really high part of our season as a bridal stylist. Let's rethink this, because people are like, God, I want to come, but I have a bride. And I was like, well, we do it on Monday, Tuesday, guys. And so we, after our show, we did a survey, and it's like, what would be the ideal month for us to do? And everyone was overwhelming, February. Do it in February. That is when we are getting ready for the bridal season, and we aren't doing brides yet. And so I was like, this is the beauty of doing things, is you learn along the way, what works, what doesn't work. And so their biggest takeaway over the last 2 years is now we're going to start to move into February. Well, we can't do it now because it's already March. And so February 2026 was slotted for our next show. And everyone was like, amazing, love it, booked my calendar. But in the meantime, I was like, there's something, I can't just see everyone once a year. I need to get out there and meet and greet and touch and feel and talk and hug and listen. And so we decided to, in Chicago, after Mariah's Beauty Gives Back, do a meetup. And in our directory, you can see where our active community is throughout our directory on our map. And I said, you know what? I know what I need and what I want to give. So I'm going to do the Bridal Artist Connection meetup in an event. It's just a 4-hour event. It brings local bridal professionals together, which, in whatever city we're visiting. And we do social hour. We do have an hour or so of education where Katie is on stage, giving her that opportunity to showcase her talents on stage in a broader audience. And then we have panel discussion. And what we did was we kind of pull the group in and ask them to write down a question that they want answered and also a goal that they have for 2025. So it's very specific on the topics we're talking about based on who shows up. And then afterwards we end also with, you know, a kind of like a cocktail hour music, and it's just been so fun. We've done Chicago, which was very awesome because I'm pretty good friends with a lot of stylists there. And then we just came off of Charleston, and it was just incredible. It was 30 stylists. They were all so lovely. And the common theme that I hear when we leave or when we're doing this is thank you so much for doing this. This is exactly what we needed. We need us to have, you know, the bridal community be recognized and have a place to come together, to network, and just to connect. And I feel very grateful that I'm able to reach out to these major cities and bring our bridal artist connection to these cities where I hear from stylists and saying, please come to our city, please come to our city. And so basically it's like, I'm going to come to your city, I'm going to throw you a party.
Awesome.
I'm going to
We
throw
like
you
a
a
party.
party. Yes, I'm going to throw you a party, and we're going to come together. We're going to connect about topics that we need to talk about, and really build this networking group and just a tighter connection between the bridal beauty professionals within that city and surrounding cities. So we welcome makeup artists. We welcome anybody that wants to come that really, you know, is a part of the bridal, you know, morning or day, what have you. It doesn't matter. There's no like, just come and be, and let's connect and talk.
Do you when you do these kind of things, do you do like breakouts with local artists and stuff to teach technique, or if there's a new technique or a new style or
Yes.
something that's trending?
Yes. So what we did in Chicago, we just had it more of like a meet networking panel discussion, and it was 3 hours, and it was great for that. But, you know, now it's like, oh, that was really great. Let's add to it. And so now we make it a 4 hour event, and we add an hour of education of a topic that we want to talk about. Or a speaker, a local artist, or even somebody, because we're building a Beyond the Ponytail educator team, to rotate who wants to teach at these artist connections. And then specifically, it's like, are we going to teach a look? Are we going to teach, you know, the power of bridal consultation? Like, what is it that we feel our industry needs to hear at that moment? And then also, which warms my heart, is I want to invite an artist that, you know, that give them that opportunity to teach on a stage, to, you know, listen to what they want to do, what their goal is, and then provide an opportunity for them to travel with us and teach on stage. And then that brings them into, you know, who also is, we always have a spot on our styling awards stage, which is a much bigger stage. It's so much fun. It's so massive. We always want to give an opportunity for an artist, and, you know, reward them for their hard work, and give them an opportunity to teach at the Styling Awards once a year. So yeah, it's been great. And we're headed to Columbus, Ohio in April. And we're going to bring the community together there. You know, we've got, you know, spaces like Philadelphia, Detroit is like hopping right now, Atlanta. So I'm going to be, yeah, you're going to see me like bopping around the country, and basically bringing the bridal community together for connection, for networking, and then for myself just to get out there and hear their stories and bring that back and provide, you know, brainstorm and provide resources for what we can do to continue to support the bridal community. They're excited. They're ready. You know, they're an amazing group of professionals, and I'm thankful that I can spotlight them and showcase the talents that they have, and just, you know, the grit to do what they do, and provide them with in-person events and recognition, because the hair industry is really starting to notice, and they're starting to say, hey, what are you doing over there? Oh, it's like, oh yeah, I got a great group of professionals over here that are, they're badass and they're amazing. And so we kind of do what we do, and then we start to see, the hair industry really kind of like peeking over the fence to see, oh my God, that's amazing. We love it. We love it. And so the crossover is starting to happen, especially in 2025. And I'm super grateful for it.
That's awesome. So you're not doing the Stylist Awards until next February. Where are they going to be next February?
We are
I assume down
slotted.
south.
Yes, well, it's funny because I polled the audience and I said, where do you guys want to go? And they were like, somewhere warm because it's February. So it was Texas, California, but we were having fires at the time. And I was like,
Mm.
probably not California this 2026, or Arizona, like Scottsdale. Somewhere warm. We just came from Florida, so we're gonna be moving it to Arizona.
Scottsdale, isn't that where Jenny is?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, I
Yes.
love
Yeah.
Jenny. I love Jenny.
Scottsdale, Phoenix area. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Are there any plans to do anything here in the Mid Atlantic, like DC or adjacent areas?
Well, see, I would love to. And what we're going to do is we're bringing the bridal artist connection there. So it's not our big hair show, just because if we do it during off season, that's really like winter time. And it's problematic, let's just say, in your area.
No, for sure. I mean,
Or
when we do
winter.
Pressy Poe and Friends, like literally, like our earliest weekend that we'll even think about planning it is like the last weekend of March, because 2 weeks earlier can be problematic. For sure. Even that weekend can be problematic, but
Oh yeah.
it's less probable of problematic, which is a really hard sentence to say. Go ahead, give it a go. Problematic probability. Anyways, so yeah,
Problematic probability. Ooh.
exactly. That's tough.
You know what was problematic was having our show in Orlando in October,
Yeah,
because
because of the hurricanes.
we missed a hurricane by 1 week.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's that.
And
Yeah.
I was, and they said, "Oh, we'll be fine. You'll be fine. It's almost the end of hurricane season." Well, I don't think there's an end of hurricane season anymore in our country. And so it hit Tampa and then moved across Orlando. And it did affect some of the stylists. They were not able to attend because they lost their home. But it also gave us opportunity to also invite those, that wanted to come, but they just couldn't because, their lives were turned upside down. So I was like, please come. The ticket's on me. Like, please be a part of this. This community will kind of lift you up because I know you're going through a hard time.
If you ever want to do the connection in Florida again, I know a great venue that's in like the St. Pete, Tampa area. That's
Oh,
amazing.
sure.
It's
Absolutely.
like 15 minutes from the airport. Like it's
Great.
easy to get into and out of. But we can talk about that after if you'd like.
Yeah, I would love to.
It's a really cool venue, and it's hairstylist specific, which makes it amazing as well. But
Yeah.
we'll chat about that later.
Great.
So cool. So so you wanted to do the awards, and then within the awards, like what are the categories or the achievements there?
Oh my gosh, we've got like 15 categories, very specific to what is trending in the bridal community. So half up, half down, clean, textured, boho, glam waves, like any style that you would see, what's posted on BTP Bridal, which is our Instagram page, or Beyond the Ponytail. We really wanted to give each artist the ability to showcase, what they're passionate about in that specific category. And it's been great. Like we had our first year, I think we had, I would say maybe 5,000 entries. And then our second year it doubled to almost 10,000 entries. And now we're getting messages of like, when do we get to post? When does the entry period start again? So people are so excited. And the recognition obviously is fantastic. Like I love honoring those that have, put themselves out there and taken that chance and opportunity. I know a lot of them think, they have that self-doubt and imposter syndrome and all those things that we deal with in our industry when we enter an award show or put ourselves out there. So it's great to recognize them, and they get, a beautiful award that they can put
Awesome.
on their
Can
shelves. Or
I ask you some questions about the rules and stuff?
what?
Can I ask you questions about the rules?
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Like, is it open to like all hairstylists, or do you have to be part of the Beyond the Ponytail community?
Oh, open to all globally. Like it doesn't matter if you've got you don't have to be a bridal stylist at all. So in the sense of, how do I enter? You fill out our entry form on our website that we collect all the images. We took off the hashtag. We learned, I think, also along with Behind the Chair, that using your hashtags and entering it into hashtags, the algorithm kind of played a role in, what you were able to see. And so we took the way that you enter and just took it and put it on a platform offsite. So now we have everything, which is great. And it also allows you to, sign a release form that, you're entering this and that we can use these images. And then also, how we get to know them, like, where are you from? Who you are, what Instagram, let's follow you. Let's build this up. And so most of them are bridal stylists, but some are, hairstylists that only do this on the side,
Right.
but this is their true passion. So there's a lot of different variety of who enters. But no, you do not have to be a bridal stylist.
And do you sorry, Gab, I have so many questions about
You're good. You're good.
do you have to is it mostly like photo shoots, or are people like entering pictures like from actual brides that they've done? Or are they or are a lot of them like actually scheduling like photo shoots like a Naha kind of thing?
Yeah.
Or yeah, what's the breakdown? Because it where does it fit in between those two, right? In between like BTC and Naha.
Yeah, yeah. Um, it's it's all of the above. They are some that are like, because we do have an editorial category, and it's for those bridal stylists that have this burning desire to do photo shoots and do editorial and do avant-garde, and they might be working on a collection because they're also going to be entering into NAHA, or there is a huge crossover from what they enter into the styling awards and to Behind the Chair. Huge crossover, and it's fantastic, and we support it 1,000% just to get yourself out there and put your work out there. They obviously don't have as many categories, and we have the breakdown. There's more as like special styling events. There's maybe one or two styling categories in those, but some people they submit the bride's work, a great image. They do photo shoots, they get models, they do, all of the above. And we welcome all those different levels, and not to be intimidated. Like, you have to do it. I know with NAHA, it's so elevated on the experience of creating the collection and entering in, and what photographer and makeup artist and wardrobe and all these amazing things. And that's fantastic for that particular space. For us, we really welcome all levels of images. And we get all levels of images. We get the ones that are, wow, you could tell you did this professionally. And then we get the ones from this is taken from, your kitchen. Or we get some that are, taken, in other spaces. And then that's where we are able to guide, this is what we recommend for backgrounds. This is how we grow and we learn. But I don't want anyone to feel intimidated with submitting. It's just a learning experience. So this is great. We applaud you for like doing it. This is what we can improve on. This is what we can do. So we're always open to, can you help us on, on how to do this better? Or if they reach out and say, can I have advice? We're gonna, it's a learning process. It's great. It's all just about like believing in yourself and going for it. And
Such a confidence build too, I mean,
yeah, good things
just
are gonna
recommend.
happen. Like, just reach out and build your network of support around where you are. And this is a good opportunity. So to answer your question in a short version, we accept all.
That's awesome. That's all. And this is always the conversation when it comes to any kind of contest.
Yeah.
So forgive me if I'm stepping on toes here, but how is it judged, or who's picking the winners or the finalists, or whatever? Because every contest in the world, like this seems to be. I mean, we just
Yeah.
even at the Oscars are like, how are these things judged? You know?
Right. Yeah. Now we have, I always invite, our industry leaders. So our bridal industry leaders that are just so respected and looked up to. And we invite them on a panel. And then because if we're giving 10,000 entries, honestly, I'll tell the truth. I've looked at every single image that's ever submitted into our styling awards. That is just my commitment. That is what I did. I've been looking at images for over 10 years, every single day, and I've posted thousands of images. So for me, second nature, this is who I am. Um, we do have a process of going through those 10,000 and really breaking it down to maybe top 50, and top 50, top 25. So I will invite our um, panel of judges once we get it to a smaller amount, because again, we're asking these individuals who are extremely busy traveling the world doing all this to be a part of this, and they're like, absolutely, yes, thank you so much, because they love what we're doing for this industry, this bridal, and they want to be a part of it. So they give up their time. They come in, we send them all the images, and then they rate them based on proportion. Is it clean? What does it look like? All, we'll give them a guideline of what we're looking for in an image that makes it stand out. And then they'll rate it, and then we collect those numbers, and then we start to narrow it down. And I do say, we have them influence the decision of who the winner is, and then I'll look at it and take into consideration, everything that goes on. Like, I also want to applaud those that I feel deserve to be recognized. They're at a point in their career where they've given so much. And so there's that, how do they show up in our community? What are they doing to support others? And so that also is a factor. But along with these judges, these industry leaders that we invite every year, I'm definitely a part of that final decision. But
Awesome.
I feel like I have a pulse on so much that's happening in our industry, and I've had so many meaningful conversations with a lot of stylists that I'm able to have that insight to bring that um, to choosing the winner. It's hard.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
can
fun.
imagine.
It's a lot of thought. I lose sleep over it because I know how meaningful this is for that individual and for the people that are the top three and the finalists. I get it. I get what's happening, and they all want the recognition and the award. So it's not an easy task to take on, but it's, if you want to do great things, you got to do hard things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
couldn't agree more.
So I do it.
Yeah.
And then it's fun. And then we get to announce it and make all the videos, and making the videos, announcing it are so, so much fun and so exciting.
That's awesome. Gab.
Yeah, I was gonna say like Beauty Launchpad even has like our own awards and things that we do, and it is like such a process to look through everyone's entries because
Yeah.
everyone is so passionate. It is
Yeah.
so it's a difficult process. I mean, like all of us do, all three of us have like our own competitions and things that we're doing. So it's a really interesting conversation to have too, especially around like authenticity as well and being genuine, because there is so much marketing and brand and things that sometimes play into it as well. And I know there's been conversations in our industry about that. So it's nice to have those spaces that are just welcome to everyone. Um, so yes. I like, again, I just love what you're doing, cultivating community and just building a space for
Yeah.
brides, because I feel like it is such a niche that sometimes gets neglected a little bit in the industry. Like
Totally.
you've mentioned, like the hair industry is now starting to finally take notice,
Yep.
as styling is getting a lot more love.
Yep.
Because I think, especially, we were talking a little bit before we started recording about COVID and sort of like uh, how that's impacted the industry as well, and sort of people finding community. And you talked about some of the things that you started doing during COVID to sort of build that community. Do you want to dive a little bit into like what that period was like and sort of how you use social media to build community?
I mean, we were very successful, from 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19 of building the platform Beyond the Ponytail and showcasing fantastic, amazing inspiration. And then, obviously discovering artists that now you look at and they're like, doing it all. And maybe you were like, oh, Beyond the Ponytail was the first page that discovered our work and stuff. And so it's great because we were able to, build that platform and showcase work, and then the rest of the industry kind of watched and saw, because I literally was like searching searching and searching and discovering, and if it took my breath away, I know it would take their breath away. And so it was so authentic in searching for these artists, that now I see have done great things. And so it's just incredibly rewarding just to be a part of that. When then COVID hit and it was like, whoo, shit, now what do we do? Nobody's creating. And I sat back and I said, you can either sit back and do nothing, or you could become a leader and lead this community into a space. So what are you going to do? And I thought, we all clearly know the answer. I was like, I'm going to be the leader. And and I
Yeah,
said, all right,
that'd be a weird setup. I'm not gonna be a leader or a follower. Like, nah, I'm just be a follower.
yeah, I'm just going to be a follower. But I said, all right, we're doing it. And I set up, in my space, and I said, this is what we're doing. We're inviting artists on. We're going to, grab your mannequins, everybody, because we're going to learn. And I'm going to learn because I am a stylist. I do weddings. I kind of walk the walk. I say, I stay in the trenches so I can talk about the trenches as a bridal stylist. And so I grabbed my mannequin, and we would have amazing, like Tonya Stylist, Cassia Fortuna, Lala, Sabrina Dykeman, you name it. I was like, girl, come on. And we're going to just, learn, and we're going to share. I will follow along because you are my teacher, but we're going to invite our community to follow along as well. And it was awesome. It was so I can't, I mean, there was hundreds of people on from around the world following along. And basically they were just like, thank you so much for allowing us to continue to create and, stop what's happening in the world and really focus, and having this ability to meet, our peers and ask questions and do this conversation. And it's like this, as crazy and horrible as that time was, it was an incredible time for our community to come together. And coming out of that, I knew, all right, it's time. It's time to bring what we created online to in person. And that's when the Beyond the Ponytail Styling Awards was born in 2023.
That's so cool.
So in Atlanta. And it was the hardest thing. What it was the hardest thing that I've ever had to do in my career, is to be the mastermind, and everything was on my shoulders to provide this 2.5 day event with 10 educators from around the world, and then artists flying in from around the world. Um, but what I learned was how to manage that stress mentally and physically. And whenever there was a challenge given to me, and there was many, I would take that opportunity as a learning process, because I needed to step through that fire to get to be the person that I see that I am for this community. And it was an incredibly challenging process of growth. But I always went back to my heart of like, why am I doing this for this community? And that's where I continue to work. And so you're able to get through those like days of like, oh my God, what am I doing? And say, oh, wait a minute, I know what I'm doing, and I know why I'm doing it, and I know who I'm doing it for. And that positive energy and vibe of like, I'm gonna, blank blank figure this out. Beep, figure this out, was what allowed me to do it and be successful, and then do it again. And so now we're in our third year, which is exciting. And you just learn along the way, and you meet really, really great people. And to be able to spotlight this community in such a way and bring them together in an event. I mean, it was literally our first year, everybody was crying. They were like, tears were flowing because they were now able to meet their best friends from around the world together and now travel this journey in a tighter community of like in-person connection. And we, as hairstylists in the hair industry, know what that's like when we're like, oh, I'll see you next year at the show. You know, you get to have those experiences in person with somebody is meaningful, and there is a different level of connection when you're able to be in that space. And so I was very determined to create that space for them, and allow them to experience what I've experienced for 23 years at hair shows, but in a very, you know, concentrated niche environment, and have 10 hours of bridal hairstyling up there by their peers instead of like one class to choose from, which there's nothing wrong with that, but there isn't this show that has everything that you're learning is bridal related versus this is an amazing hair show and we have some bridal hair classes to take. And so we've heard that, you know, we've heard kind of the noise of like, oh, this is great, I love it, but there's not a lot of bridal, and you know, you know, it would be great to have something just for us. And I was like, ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
That is where we step in. And
Winner,
so
winner, chicken dinner.
and we did it, and they loved it, and it's very meaningful. And what I am most proud of, because people are like, oh my God, are you so proud of yourself? And I was like, well, I mean, yes, I am proud that I was able to push through challenges and make this happen. But what I'm most more proud of is I'm so happy that they get to have this experience, because I know it means so much to them.
Yes,
You
that's
know?
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I get that. You know, it's like it's never. This has come up a couple of times, but I worked for a hair salon, and you know they said that where they take the most pride is like when we as employees get to buy a house and stuff, because you're a part of that journey, and they were part
Yeah.
of that, and that I feel that way a lot.
Yeah.
It's part of my career. It's like
It's
it's more about
special. It's
that.
special. And then and it's like even with collaborations, like I'm now working with Andrew Carruthers, who is amazing. And we're providing a class called the Educator Masterclass that we just came off of in Seattle. And basically what you see in our industry is these stylists are doing great things, but now they're moving into what they're following their heart, and now they're becoming independent educators as bridal hairstylists. Well, that is amazing and fantastic, but wouldn't it be more comfortable and great if you had the opportunity to be trained as a facilitator and learn communication? Because then you connect with that audience, you know, better, and your message gets, you know, translated, you know, better, and you're moving the room and understanding the dynamics of your room that you're in when you're teaching. And so we just came off of our 2-day masterclass in Seattle, the Educator Masterclass, and that was transformative. Like, holy beep.
That's awesome.
That that was another project that we're taking on for this year that is I am so proud of, and I'm so proud to sit next to Andrew Carruthers and co-host this experience for bridal educators that want to really kind of own their authentic voice, understand it, and then learn how to give it away in the best way possible to be most impactful in the room. So it's super cool.
That's groovy. Angela, how can people find you?
You can hop on Instagram and follow Beyond the Ponytail. My personal page is Angela Beyond the Ponytail. Please send me a DM. I'm checking it all the time. That page doesn't have so much chatter in the DMs as the others because it gets pretty wild. And you can DM me there. I would love to connect with anyone that has questions or wants to, you know, host an artist connection, or they want to come to our educator masterclass or what have you. Or you can go to beyondtheponytail.com and you can just send us an email at angela@beyondtheponytail.com. I will get it. I will respond, and you know, we can go from there. But yeah, we've got pages. We've got Beyond the Ponytail, BTP Bridal, BTP Styling Awards, and then Angela Beyond the Ponytail. I look at all of them. So send out messages, reach out, comments. We'll get in touch with you.
That's awesome. Angela, thank you so much. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Gab,
Yeah, Angela, thank you so much for chatting with us. And thank you again for for being Beauty Launchpad's March April Artist Spotlight. Please make sure, because that Artist Spotlight is up now on Beauty Launchpad's website. Our digital magazine is live now, so you can see that gorgeous spread. And Angela in that Artist Spotlight dives into some of the challenges in the bridal community, advice for building your own community in the bridal space. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that we didn't even touch on here that's worth reading in that Artist Spotlight, and also wellness and self-care tips, which is super important because the bridal space is very high stress, as you mentioned. So please go and read that wonderful Artist Spotlight. And Angela, thank you for taking the time to be our Artist Spotlight for March, April, and for chatting with us. And I'm so excited for all the things that you're going to be doing with Beyond the Ponytail for this year and beyond. I'm glad I got to see you in Chicago and go to that wonderful event. It was so much fun. They got to connect with so many bridal stylists who are now in our March, April issue in some capacity. Nina, who was at that space, is the must list. So I really appreciate it, because that like helped me build out my entire March, April issue. So thank you for all that you're doing. And it was wonderful to chat with you. Thank you again.
Thank you, Gabby, so much. I'm so excited that you're able to meet these amazing stylists and bring them into, your magazine. And thank you, Corey, so much for this space that you're doing. I know that you do great work and make great connections and have fantastic conversations. So I'm honored to be a part of that. Your podcast, and to be able to share what we're doing at Beyond the Ponytail in our space over here. So thank you.
Well, once again, thank you. Thanks for making time for us, and thanks for hanging out with us. And thank you very, very much for joining us on your day off.